Allah guides whom He wills, and His decision appears reasonable and intuitive in retrospect. We see whom He chooses and say to ourselves, this man or woman was made to be chosen. It seems obvious to us that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be selected, but it was not obvious to the Quraysh. We realize now that Musa alayhi salam was a great choice, but it certainly did not seem so to Fir'aun nor to Musa himself. And likewise with many of the companions and wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why was Umar preferred by God over Abi Jahl? How did the leading lights of the Quraysh overcome their pride in some cases, for example, Uthman, and not others, such as Abu Lahab? Is all this predictable? What leads one person to the truth and not another? The Qur'an promotes two main avenues of guidance: the slow march of reason and the dramatic leap of faith. وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِن لَّمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَحَاجَّهُ قَوْمُهُ قَالَ أَتُحَاجُّونِي فِي اللَّهِ وَقَدْ هَدَانِ. With this passage, we are given an example of how the path to guidance can be long and experimental, requiring patient observation and reflection. But sometimes that same path can be traversed in a flash. After Musa alayhi salam threw down his staff, which swallowed up the enchanted staves of the magicians, فَأُلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سُجَّدًا قَالُوا آمَنَّا بِرَبِّ هَارُونَ وَمُوسَى. Or this immediate reaction: إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ إِذَا يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ يَخِرُّونَ لِلْأَذْقَانِ سُجَّدًا. As for the Abyssinian Christians, وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ تَرَى أَعْيُنَهُمْ تَفِيضُ مِنَ الدَّمْعِ مِمَّا عَرَفُوا مِنَ الْحَقِّ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا آمَنَّا فَاكْتُبْنَا مَعَ الشَّاهِدِينَ. In these passages, the change appears to be sudden, unexpected, and almost against one's will, as when the sorcerers were thrown down. Inspiration often works this way. So which way do we follow? Do we develop our critical faculties, as many in the secular West tell us we should, questioning and doubting, comparing and analyzing, and spending our whole lives in rational argument and reflection? We might do that, since Allah encourages us to look, to ponder, and to use our reason in many verses. Or do we surrender our minds to the overwhelming power of faith and accept what seizes our joints and moves us to tears? We might do that too. for many of the companions underwent sudden conversions of this sort. There seems to be a contradiction here, a parting of the ways, and some might say that we should go one way or the other depending on how God has guided us, either slowly or suddenly. I suggest, however, that Allah shows us both because He wants both from each one of us. He reveals in the long passage quoted above and in many other places that Ibrahim alayhi salam is always inquiring and searching for answers. But this slow, smoldering need to know bursts into flame in the end when he declares his faith and claims that he has received guidance. As for listeners who react suddenly to revelations or signs from God, we read that they are those to whom the knowledge was bestowed before. There was a process going on inside that is not directly displayed, but the sorcerers are described in the Qur'an as knowledgeable, alim, and the monks and priests are characterized as not arrogant, a sure sign of spiritual knowledge, in the verse before the one I quoted. Consider the soul to be like a pile of wood. When it is young and green, we can force it to burn for a moment or two, but that burning will not last, because the love of this worldly life fills it with hopes of power, wealth, and fame. When we refuse to think about what we see in the two books, namely the nature created by God and the Qur'an revealed by God, it is as if we believe that sheer willpower and the warmth of personal devotions can make our spirit burst into enlightened flame. I see many Muslims take this approach because they believe that philosophy is the enemy of faith. But Ibrahim alayhi salam was not only a believer but also a philosopher. He loved wisdom and wanted to understand what he believed. Another group, whom we could call rationalists or scientists, admire the path of Ibrahim alayhi salam so much that they never want it to end. But Ibrahim did not go on speculating and philosophizing forever. He was looking for his Lord, not just another reason. He wanted faith to be the crown of his rational efforts. Those who fail to see that higher purpose are like loggers who become enchanted by their logs. They are afraid to hold the match or torch to what they have been accumulating for so long. They are dry but ultimately useless wood. Few of us are chosen, as Musa was, so decisively that a burning bush, green and growing, but aflame with faith, can show us our way to God. A soft heart, but a dry mind, is the best way to be ready for a sudden spark that will bring tears to our eyes and our faces to the floor. The rational mind probes, investigates, compares, contemplates, and keeps its kindling dry for either the gradual dawnbreak of realization or the surprising sunburst of, aha! Now I see what faith in Allah is. Then, God willing, we can attain what we always wanted, to shine like a star in heaven.